We are actually on the second volume of the Ramayana in Guruji's commentary, which is quite significant actually. I've been going a lot faster in Mahabharata, no? But Mahabharata is significant longer, so it's more complicated. Okay. So this section is the story of Jayanta. Who's Jayanta? Is Indra's son. And he looks at Ramchandraji now. So for 13 years, they're in exile. So they move along from that. They don't stay there in Chitrakoot because they realize that it's too close to Ayodhya and people might keep coming back and forth. And then distraction for the people of Ayodhya, they keep coming up and down. And these people also won't be fulfilling that full sense of exile. Because you're still chilling with all the people you love if they keep coming to visit you. And exile is supposed to be, well, far away. So, and there were lots of rules. And people just knew the rules. Right. And if you are in exile, you're not allowed to enter a city. Like, I wouldn't have just known this rule. Would you have just known the rule? Yeah. I would have happily gone to another city. If you're in exile, you're meant to stay in the forest. And so you'll see that when Ramchandraji, he won't enter a city. Even when he meets Hanuman and Sugriv, and then Sugriv becomes the king, and he never goes into the city. He never goes into the palace, Sugriv's palace. It's Sugriv's palace. He's not in his palace. No, cannot go. He'll be in exile. So Ramchandraji follows it like properly. So exile means you're not supposed to be with these people, so he leaves. He leaves Chitrakoot and they go into Dandaka. And actually, it's not an elaborate description of what they spend time like. Interesting, because in storytelling, 13 years is like one paragraph. Because nothing happened. Because means lots of things happen, but all nice things happen. Nothing to, like, no. It's so sad. This even in the Mahabharata, right? Like, it doesn't count as story because it was just a normal day. Like, if our life also, just a normal day doesn't count as story. What did you do today? This is why when kids come home into the car and the mothers ask, what do you do with the fathers? Nothing. Why? Because it was a normal day. There's no exciting story to tell. But we really want more normal days, don't we? Because the story bits are like so high impact. So 13 years, they're in the forest. And really beautiful. They live in really so affectionate, so loving, so cooperatively with each other. And many a times Ramji will say, like, hey, Sita's a jackpot. He doesn't have to go to work. He doesn't have stress. He's totally relaxed, totally free to spend all this time with her. And he does. They spend so much very beautiful quality time together, either in satsang or just everyday task. And when there's no everyday task, then they would do things like walk in the forest, looking at nature, collect flowers, collect berries. So Ramchandraji, there's lots of descriptions of he putting flowers in her hair, helping her beautify herself. Likewise, Sitaji massaging Ramchandraji's feet or helping him with whatever it is he was interested in at that point in time. And interesting also, like you would think, what did they do? But when you have a date, you end up doing something. Like during COVID also, no? Many of us were stuck in the house and then you think, what am I going to do? And then you figure it out. You do something. I remember once we, in a youth training empowerment program that we have, Yuva Kendra initiative, where they study for 3 months with us and then they serve for 6 months. And the next course is now starting, end of July. So as part of their training, do some interesting things with them. and Swami Mithrananda had put them into solitude for one full day. So you can't take your mobile, you can't take a book, you can't take So basically you have nothing on you except the clothes you're wearing. And little bit food is given to you, not a lot. Like half a loaf of bread, I think, was given with some little maybe knickknacks. So how much you can eat also, right? But they weren't given a lot. And so different people, but most of them went to sleep because when you're doing this in the youth empowerment program, you're really tired. So it's like solitude, great. They went to sleep. There's one person who had like so restless. He wanted something to do. So in every room in our ashram, because there's no ACs, there's a fan, a ceiling fan. He took the table, climbed on top of the table, put the chair, climbed on top of the chair, and dismantled the ceiling fan. And then took out all the various components to figure out how it works. Why? Because he needed something to do. That's the most hilarious story I've heard of what they did when they were in isolation. But also, so we figure it out as per our temperament, as per our needs. We fill the day up doing whatever our vasanas push us to do. And so for 13 years, basically, they've lived very, very harmoniously together. Very, very affectionately together. And even Lakshman got wonderful time with them, with Ramchandraji, and with Lakshman probably a little bit busier because he didn't want them to work, so he's on duty. and Lakshman made pathways and swept the ground, and collected food, and all the rest of it. Now, Jayant is watching all of this from the heavens. All the devatas had showered flowers. And so they wanted to see what's the big deal with this person. And then you see him putting flowers on wives' hair, and walking in the forest holding hand, and then singing some stotram, and then talking to one son. So why throw flowers on him? Like really, he's not doing anything. So he decides to test Sri Ramchandraji. And one day Sita ji is sitting with her legs out and Ramchandraji is sleeping on her lap. Afternoon nap, siesta. Like I said, he didn't have to go to office, didn't have much to do, no stress. So Jayant takes the form of a crow. And he comes and he starts pecking at Sita ji's foot. Sita ji doesn't want to wake up Ramchandraji. So she doesn't move. Very similar to Karna's story, right? Just remember Sita ji's feet are so soft. And the description is like lotuses. Even though she's walking on the floor, with bare feet on the forest floor, it is believed that the earth would become soft for her because she's Mother Earth itself, right? So the earth wouldn't let her suffer and would maintain her beauty. And Ramchandra is sleeping, and the blood, or he hears it, or he feels the flinch. I'm not sure which one it was. In the Karna story, he feels the blood. And so immediately he opens his eyes, looks at this crow, knows who this crow is. This crow is not a crow, it's Jayant. If it was a normal crow, shoo it away. But this is done very deliberately. Now, even if you want to test Ramchandraji, why hurt Sita ji? And so this story comes now as a nice prelude to what Ramchandraji would do to someone who hurts Sita. plucks a blade of grass and he turns it to a Brahmastra. A Brahmastra is like an atomic bomb, except atomic bombs just kill all and sundry. Brahmastra will kill the specific area or the specific person that it's aimed at without causing too much damage to everyone else. Imagine an entire atomic bomb aimed just at you. Like, that's very, very serious. And because we've done the Mahabharata, you'll know that Brahmastras were used by very, very skilled warriors. Your regular person didn't know how to use a Brahmastra and wasn't able to defend themselves against a Brahmastra. So, because you need to know the mantra that's involved to defend yourself from the Brahmastra. But it also depends who's shot it. Because these weapons were powered by the person's mind, your mind had to be the same level of power to counter it. So just holding up a shield isn't effective, right? If the person charging towards you is really strong and you holding the shield and you like, your arm strength is really dila, and then they can bang the shield on you only, and then you get knocked out by your own shield that you're holding. So you have to equal the strength to be able to counter. Now Ramchandraji has shot the Brahmastra. There's no hope of anyone countering. You're just not going to be able to be as strong. This bit's important for you to know that nobody can counter this because Ramchandraji has set it up. Right? Arjuna sets it up. Someone like Bhishma Pitama would have been able to counter it because he's got equal mental strength. So, immediately, Jayant recognizes Brahmastra and starts flying away. In the story, it says running, so he must have assumed back the human Devata form. He's not human, he's Devata, son of Indra. And he runs first to his father. Now, this Brahmastra is an interesting Brahmastra because if you shoot an arrow, it shoots, right? This Brahmastra never actually touched him. It stays this far away and moves this far away. Like, it stays this far away. Almost worse that it's not just blowing him up, it's following him. Indraji saying the master says, no, don't come here. I want nothing to do with you. Go. So that's his own father. Huh? But different Indras in different periods of time were different jivas. And some of them were actually very, very devoted. And so Ramchandraji would have come first. You upset Ramchandraji? I want nothing to do with you. Now you deserve your punishment. Which is actually great parenting. You made this mess? Go, deal now. Don't come and expect me to solve it. Because otherwise I'll be solving every mess you ever make. No. You solved it. He's a grown adult. He's not like a little kid. And he was calculating enough to think to bite, peck at Sitaji's feet. So now you deal with your consequence. Maybe it was that. Or maybe he was just scared. I don't know which Indra he would have been. But basically, he's like, go from there. And so he goes to Brahmaji. Brahmaji looks at him and says, nobody can help you. Go back to Ramchandraji and bow down and ask for forgiveness. Jayanta does it. He runs to Lord Shiva. Thinking Brahmaji couldn't help, but Shiva must be more powerful. Shiva will be able to help. Shiva says the exact same thing. Nobody can help you. And Shiva's mind should be strong enough to counter Lord Ramji's Brahmastra. Sure, But would he? No. Very bad for political relationships. Your devotee, you deal. I'll deal with mine. Mine I love to do. No, of course, the understanding, right? And then and Shivji would be even more upset with Jayant if he knew he had plucked at Sitaji's feet. But Ramchandraji has decided punishment, then you deserve punishment. And what only solution is, you go and surrender back to Ramchandraji's feet. So Jayant thinks he can outrun it. So he runs. And it remains always this much away from him. Until finally he does come back. And he bows down to Ramchandraji's feet. And he asks for forgiveness. Ramchandraji says to him, but it's been set in motion. Now I won't waste it. A Brahmastra can be withdrawn. We know this. But Ramchandraji doesn't withdraw it. He said, I've set it in motion. So now you tell me what it should destroy. And it has to be in you. Because it was sent to you. So I won't destroy all of you. Then he decides to one eye. Very interesting. You did have to choose. Then you would you destroy. You can give this as the next camp question. What would you choose to destroy in you? So he chooses it. Well, Ramchandraji chooses it actually. Because he can't choose. He can't think what he wants to destroy himself. And Ramchandraji chooses it because with our two eyes, we have this dual vision, which causes all of this unnecessary judgment. I'm better, or this one's better, that one's better. That's what Jayant was doing, like judging Ramchandraji. Like he can't be so powerful, he can't be so great, he's pampering his wife in the forest. And so this sense of difference. And so only one. Have that vision of only one is. But actually when it's the story is told, it gets interpreted a bit differently. When Bhagavan takes something, he always gives something. This is very powerful. I think I've said this before also, right? When Bhagavan takes something, he always, always gives something. And I know it can be really hard when people are going through challenges in life and something's being taken from them and they think, what could you possibly give me that could warrant you taking this? But he will. He'll always give something. And maybe in our immaturity or in our haste or in our attachment, we're not able to see the beauty of it. Or maybe it takes a while for us to see the beauty of it. But stories like this really reiterate this point. And so it is said that from that day on, all crows can see with only one eye. But they can also see where departed souls have gone. And so there is a tradition that when somebody passes away, they leave a thali outside, right? And the crow will usually come and draw something in it, write something in it. I don't know the tradition so well. You all know the tradition? They keep the pin there for the crow. Yeah.
All the crows come.
Yeah. Crows will come. But it's believed that they can see where this person who's just, because they can see the soul. So they know where they've gone. So they leave some kind of indication. I don't think the traditions followed so widely, but it is there. Maybe as the urbanized people don't follow it as much anymore. I think in the villages and things like that, they still do. So some vision was taken away, but some vision was gained as well. This story is very, very, every story is multi-layered. Actually, this story is one of the rare stories in the Ramayana that is very standalone. You don't need any context. It's just on its own, it's a whole story. Like he gets deluded. And really in the Ramayana, pretty much everyone gets deluded. Is Ram really God? It's physics, relax. He must have been balanced in a way that's going to work. Yeah, it's fine. The photo, right?
No,
Sometimes people just can't believe that someone can be God or someone can be divine. And we all have our criteria of what divinity should look like. What should it look like? A husband being sweet and romantic to his wife didn't fit Jayant's criteria of what divinity should look like. But if you ask any wife, she would say that's exactly what divinity looks like. Isn't that interesting? Like your perception of what divinity should look like. For so many people, what should divinity look like? Even when they meet me or other people trying, walking on the path. And even today, somebody asked me, so do you wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and meditate 3 hours? Sure. That would be lovely. Or not, I don't know. I do wake up at 4 sometimes. I do meditate. There's one Swami in the mission, he's passed away now. He used to only sleep at something like 5 or 6 in the morning. Like our modern teenagers, he'd wake up at 1 in the afternoon. He'd do satsang till like 6 in the morning. These poor students would be falling asleep because it's 4 in the morning. He's around say talking on Shankar Bhasha in very Shuddha Hindi. That's not what divinity looks like. Really? Isn't it? Yeah. We expect it to look a certain way. But each one of us expectation is different. The Pawanji Maharaj, whose picture is not there anymore. Walked in the Himalayas in silence. That's what divinity looks like. How many people met the Pawanji Maharaj? How many people heard him speak? In his whole life, maybe 30. Studied under the Pawanji Maharaj. And then Puja Gurudev came down and did so much natak, raw, told stories and made jokes. And is that what divinity looks like? No, no. It's talking in English. That's not what divinity is. He's talking to women. Scandalous. Do you know how much Gurudev was criticized for teaching women? How can divinity not teach women? How interesting that we can perceive that divinity should look this way. And whoever decides, because all of us will decide differently how divinity should look. But I am right. That's what we feel, right? I am right. How many judged Ramchandra? So he couldn't possibly be Avatar. Couldn't possibly be divine. And he's done nothing wrong. But he's done nothing extraordinary also. So he can't be divine. Why is that our criteria? What extraordinary thing have we done? And this is very important because Mahavakyas, Upanishads are saying, Tattvamasi, you are divine. So if we can't believe Ramchandraji is divine, then me, I'm so ordinary, substandard. How will I possibly believe that I am divine? I'm not even willing to believe Ramchandraji is divine. When he's done nothing wrong. Living very harmoniously, very, very, very affectionately. So far we've seen him affectionate to father and mother, to Bharat, brothers, Lakshman, to friends, and the rishis, of course. And now who we see? Sitaji, of course. Only affectionate, right? Only considerate, only respectful. Why we whatever notion we have of divinity is restricting us. And so to drop this notion. But also what's very cool here is Ramchandraji turns a blade of grass into a Brahmastra. Bhagavan can use anything. He didn't need fancy chariot and then one humongous bow and arrow and then shoot the arrow and then Brahmastra. No. He's lying on Sitaji's lap. What's there? Grass. What will he use? Grass. He can use anything and turn it into what he wants. This is actually so beautiful. Because if you change anything to anyone and turn us into what he wants. With blade of glass, it won't resist. I don't want to be a Brahmastra. Why are you making me a weapon? I want to become flower. Bhagavan plucked, used, it will follow. It will do Bhagavan's bidding. With us, bidding doesn't happen. Bhagavan's trying to use us. But we have, I will do this, I will do that. I want to do this, I don't want to do it. It's incredible. When I had first joined the ashram, previously the people, so when Guruji is in the ashram, and of course when Gurudev wasn't there in the ashram, then lots of people come. Even people, the brahmachari swamis, everyone comes. Everyone has work with head of mission. So anyway, Pavai ashram is very buzzing now because Bombay city has very buzzing. But in those days, it used to be far away. Nobody went. It was too far a drive to go all the way to Pavai ashram. Gurudev's in town, Suddenly the ashram's full. People slept in their car the night before because the flights would land like all hours of the day, so that they were already there to receive him when he drove into the ashram. Because at that point, my ashram didn't have enough rooms. So the brahmacharis were in their rooms. There weren't hardly any guest rooms. The rooms were all full. They still wanted to see Gurudev. There were no hotels. Now there's so many. Sometimes good, sometimes not. There's no hotels there. There was just the gardens around, and forest and the lake. They slept in their cars to see Gurudev. Such yearning to be with him. When I joined the ashram, there was lots of room and accommodation. Already things had and Guruji was there inaugurating us, and so lots of brahmachari swamis, everyone had come to visit Guruji. And I remember so clearly this one brahmachari. I remember her face. I don't remember her name. She was from south of India. And she got posted to one of the Maharashtrian smaller cities. So like Pune would be your big one, Bombay is your biggest. And then you got all these small ones all over. So she got posted there. But she's from south. And in the smaller cities in Maharashtra, they speak only Marathi. Max, they'll speak Hindi. Some of them won't even know Hindi. So coming from the south, she didn't know that Maharashtrian. So I said, so then, like, you just got posted there. What are you doing? And she said, you learn. You learn a language is okay. Many people do. But to learn it well enough to give satsang in, whoa. Because Vedanta is not like, there's so many technical terms in Vedanta that you have to be able to explain with such nuances. So I was like, and you manage? She said, he needed me to talk Marathi, so I speak Marathi. And that blew me away. I was just joining, like the course was just starting, and she said it with such, he needed me to speak Marathi. So I speak. Like if he wants, then I should be able to do, right? Because he wants it. Her faith and her surrender really left this impression on me. It's like Bhagavan picks up blade of grass, turns it into Brahmastra like this. Matter of seconds. And the grass is now Brahmastra. So why would it take so long if he picked me up? If he needs me to do something, then I should be able to do it, right? For us to have that faith, that incredible surrender to him, would make us so versatile. It would make us so capable. And it's a different kind of brave. We can be brave where you go bungee jumping. That's it. You do have to have bungee jumping. It does require bravery. You have to be brave in relationships, to start the relationship, or to, apologize, work on relationships, forgive, let go of the relationship. You have to be brave. And this is another kind of brave. I haven't a clue what I'm doing, but I'm going to do it. With 100%. I'm going to figure it out. Why? Because he needs. We can do it even when I want. I want to do it, we can do it. In fact, when we want to do anything, we accomplish so much. This is he wants. So I should be able to do it. But also what's really beautiful is we see Ramchandraji has turned his blade of grass into Brahmastra. And then later on, many things that we see that Ramchandraji is capable of doing, Sitaji is capable of doing. Ramchandraji could give up kingdom. Sitaji gave up kingdom. In fact, she gave up choice, huh? Because Sitaji was the heir to Janak Maharaja's kingdom. Mithila. She gave up that. She gave up Yodhya. Later on in the Ramayana, we'll see that when Ravana is tormenting Sitaji, there's one incident in one version of the Ramayana. There's many different versions, as you all have now understood. And the story is slightly different in each one. But this is a well-known version, and I think it came in that TV series. So it's even more well-known because all of India watched it. While Ravana is talking, Sitaji picks up a blade of grass and puts it between her and Ravana. And then talks to the blade of grass because she will not talk to Ravana. Now, how is this like a Brahmastra? She was able to create this field that he could not penetrate. He couldn't come anywhere near her. Now, when she's talking to that blade of grass, she's so insulting to Ravana. In different versions of the, Ramayana, there's the story that Ravana at one point had taken advantage of the woman. And it was one of the Apsaras. So he took her against her will. And she and the rishis were so furious that they cursed him. That if he ever touches a woman against her will, his heads will either all fall off or explode. I can't remember which one. One of them. Both are as bad. Basically, he'll die. So he couldn't impose himself on a woman. Now, this is a very like a fail-safe. We need to know that Sitaji was not touched, that her purity was remained. We trust Sitaji for being pure. Ravana is Ravana. He's going to do whatever he wants to, which was what people's argument were. So how to ensure that he didn't touch her? He has this curse. There are some people, this is like a fail-safe. Ravana can't touch Sitaji. Okay, he cannot force himself sexually on her, as per this curse. He can hit. The curse wouldn't do anything if he hit. When Sita is so insulting to him, refusing to even look at him, talking to a blade of grass instead of him, when he is the kind of person that makes Varun Devata wash his floors. Vayu Devata sweep his floors. He's going to tolerate insult? Why would he tolerate insult? He wouldn't. This is the personality of Ravan. He doesn't tolerate anyone not listening to him. He doesn't tolerate not getting what he wants. So why would he not touch her? Not sexually. He couldn't. He couldn't go near. If Ramchandraji can create a weapon, Sitaji created a shield. From blade of grass. Sita Mata is Mother Earth. She can will Earth to do her bidding. Not that either of them showed their divinity, but we know for it to be true. Yeah, just that power of mind that you could use something and convert it to channel power that is so much beyond it. It's the mind that's channeling power, but through a blade of grass. Like even that, the equipment should be able to withstand that kind of power. Right? Grass is actually quite durable if you think about it. That it can withstand this. From Ramchandraji turning it into a Brahmastra and Sitaji using it as this shield where he can't come anywhere near. So, Jayant's story is often told to show how we can get so deluded. A lot of the Ramayana is about how we can get so deluded. Firstly, why test? And who are we to test? I said this even when we spoke about sati testing, right? To conduct a test, I should be so proficient. I can test you on Gita. I cannot test medical students on medicine. I'm not proficient in it. Like to conduct a test, you have to be that good at it. How can we test God? Like, even logically, how do we do that? You just can't be that. I want to test if he is God. You'd have to be more divine, more knowledgeable than God to test. There's just no way to test. Sometimes people will test even this, there's that story of Bhrigu Rishi, right? He just did in the Gita on Wednesday to test which God is the strongest. So he kicks Vishnu. He says Vishnu is the best. Vishnu only is God. Why? Because he didn't get angry. But we've heard the story of Narad Muni accusing Shiva of getting angry. Like how? How do we test? On what criteria and what basis? So for us, what should we do? Maybe some of you never even thought to test, so you're thinking, what does it matter? I'm never going to test. Maybe we don't test, but we have doubts. Doubt sometimes creeps into our mind. Maybe of not God, but of Guru. At that moment, what do we do? Test? Sometimes delusion will push us to do such things. Such times, if delusion is not so strong yet, we have to remember these stories. We have to remember that we're not qualified to test. We're just not qualified to test. So what to do with the doubt? What do you all think? What shall we do with the doubt? It can be to Bhagavan. Maybe I don't doubt Bhagavan exists. But is he listening to me? I don't think he heard me. So many times I asked, oh, whatever. He's not listening. He's not giving me. Oh, we doubt in other ways. Sometimes we have to do something for him. We doubt ourselves. Like that brahmachari could have doubted. How will I speak Marathi? Not Marathi. What do we do with doubt? Yeah. Faith is the opposite of doubt. But doubt won't allow you to have it. That's the problem, right? Once there's doubt, won't allow you to have it. What do we do with doubt? We can surrender. Surrendering is very good. Bhakti Shastra is pretty much always the correct answer. Bhakti Shastra. Surrender. So what does surrender mean? You won't have the doubt anymore. Okay? That's what surrender means. Like I surrender my phone to you. It won't happen. But if I do, it means I no longer have my phone. So surrendering the doubt means I no longer have the doubt. If you can, very good, surrender. What else to do with doubt? Reason, use logic and answer or counter it. Very good. Yes. Use logic and counter. Logic is valid means of knowledge. Use reasoning. And explain to your mind why the doubt doesn't need to be there. Very, very good. So you can surrender it. You can use reasoning. What else do we do with doubt? You can watch other people who don't have doubt. You can be inspired by someone who doesn't have. Sometimes you can't test because you don't have enough knowledge to test. To test something, you have to be that proficient in it. Yeah. You can question, not test. Clear the doubt by reasoning. So if questioning is, if it's something to do with knowledge, you can ask a question. But if Jayant had gone to Bhagavan and said, are you Bhagavan? He would have said, no, I'm son of Dashrath. That's what he said. Then he got his answer. He's free of his doubt and he's fine. Yes, you can question. Not test. But questioning comes of two types. I question you to prove I'm right. Okay? Like the question is like, how dare you behave this way? It's not really a question. Who do you think you are? That's not really a question. Right? Or don't you think you're behaving terribly? This is not really a question. Like, or the question is, not, I don't understand. How to recognize divinity. Please guide. I don't understand questions are very different too, but aren't I right questions? So we are allowed to question. Even your own guru. With, if you want understanding. Yes. And if you're willing to learn, then yes. Arjuna questioned Krishna. Totally fine. Lots of Upanishads start with student question. Guru will answer. But the question is, I want to learn. I have this doubt. It's not allowing me to progress. I want to progress. How do I get over this doubt? So you don't test. You question, inquire. Okay, so use reason, question, surrender. Any more? What to do with doubt? Sometimes we doubt Guru only. You asked?
Yeah, that's one. The doubt clear this one.
It's
a good test.
Cannot test. We're not qualified to test. Know that doubt is a trick of the mind. Delusion. Delusion can be so strong. But you know, there's moments even in delusion where we have some clarity. Like when we're getting, sometimes we can be angry and we know we're being angry. We're being unreasonable and we know we're being unreasonable. Sometimes there's a level of awareness even though we're in it. Yeah. So if we've created that level of awareness, no, it's a trick of the mind. If you've already had enough experience to know this path, this teacher, this sadhana is very valid. And if you're totally new and you have to still discover, then you still discover. But many times we've already been doing. We already know. And then suddenly the mind will play a trick. So at that time, no, the mind is playing a trick. So here we see also Sitaji's gentleness, but also her strength that she could endure what Jayant did. But like I said, it was a prelude to what to come. Ramchandraji didn't tolerate Sitaji being hurt. And the measures he took was extreme. And Brahmastra is no small. It's like, you hurt Sita, punishment is, you should have pecked at me. You wanted to test me, right? Peck on my. And so when people fault Ramchandraji for not loving Sita, or for being unjust to Sitaji, They isolate one incident without seeing their continued relationship. Like here, see the level of anger that Sitaji is hurt, or the level of protectiveness that he has for Sitaji. The level he will go to ensure justice for what Sitaji is injured. And so the sense of duty as a husband, but also just love in a relationship that he has for her is so clear. And then they in Dandaka forest and they meet Rishi Aitri and Sitaji meets Anasuya. Now this section of the Ramayana is often taken because it's one of the few conversations that Sitaji has. Although Sitaji is not talking. Anasuya is talking. Anasuya ji is telling Sitaji what makes a good wife. You laughing?
It will be interesting.
It's going to be an interesting topic. Well, I'm not going to do it. Okay. I'm going to touch very briefly on it. If A3 Rishi told Ramchandraji what made a good husband, we would have done that. Yeah. But a few things struck me in reading Anasuya's advice to Sitaji. One of her first advice to Sitaji is, make sure you are always well groomed. Look good for your husband. I thought so many women today would be so annoyed about that. Like, why can't he just love me for who I am? The reason I'm mentioning this to you is twofold. Through the years, I get to see a lot. Sometimes too much. One of the most curious things I've noticed is when one spouse has cheated on another spouse. So let's say if the wife has had an affair. Now I'll know it's legit, huh? It's not presumption that the wife has had an affair. I know, inside school. Suddenly, the husband will lose weight, go gym, get six-pack, get hair transplant, and his sense of fashion has suddenly drastically improved. He now looks like a very serious catch, getting lots of attention from lots of women, which, interestingly, he's usually not interested in. He's done all this, and I'm thinking, why? So now he's good enough to have an affair? Usually not, huh? To win her back? Very often. Often she doesn't come back. He keeps going. It's got to do with self-worth sometimes. She cheated on me because I wasn't appealing. Vice versa also. He has affair. Oh my God, these women drive themselves crazy becoming thin. I really don't understand how size 0 is a size. They become smaller than size 0. Why? So he won't have another affair. Usually he does. Mhm. It really doesn't matter how thin she is. That's also very interesting. So why is this advice given? And the reason I mention that men do this after their wives have affairs is because it's both ways. Even though Anasuya is saying it, what makes a good wife? Be physically attractive for your husband. Husband, be physically attractive for your wife, especially in today's world. Why? Our scriptures don't shy away from sexuality. Lust is an inborn power. One of the reasons you get married is to fulfill this desire. As one of the reasons you get married. And in India, it's one of the reasons you got married very young. Because the desire starts young. Don't wait too long, because then they're going to fulfill the desire outside of marriage. Get them married so that they can fulfill the desire in a healthy, responsible, loyal, committed, respectful way. Now, if it's one of the purposes of getting married, the purpose needs to be fulfilled. And for that desire to be acted on, the other person has to be appealing. Such a simple thing, huh? It's in the Ramayana. Our scriptures don't shy away from it. And when I worked as a psychologist, I used to get hand-me-down clients from my mentor. And then I think one day she really had too much going on and she sent me this lady and relationship issue. And so I said, so what seems to be the problem? And her reply was, the sex is just not good. Just remember, I was 20. I was like, oh, what do I do with this now? It can make or break the relationship. And then after that session I had with her, I had to have a full session with my mentor on understanding the role of sex in a relationship. And huge. It's huge. For some couples, it doesn't feature as much. But it will feature, just maybe not as much. For some couples, it features a lot. What's so beautiful is, if you stigmatize it, it can't be healthy. Our culture never stigmatized it. We've learned this from the West. We've learned all the wrong things from the West. Asian cultures never stigmatized it. It was never taboo. India will be known for things like Kama Sutras. For a temple having carvings on the wall. A temple has carvings on the wall means there's no stigma. People did this. That's the point. People do this. You want healthy relationship? This cannot be ignored. Marital relationship. Okay? And so good wife, good husband, understand what the need is. also understand what the desire is. Part of the wedding vows is we agree to help each other fulfill desire within them. That's what the agreement is. In marriage, I'm agreeing to help you fulfill your desires within Dharma, to help you fulfill your Dharma. Both. Helping fulfill your Dharma. So, wife has to look after husband's parents. Why? Husband's Dharma, look after parents. Husband have to look after wife parents. Not so much traditionally, but very much in today's world. Because now, if you're in that country and nobody else is in that country, look after them. It's the wife's duty, so then it's husband's duty as well. So, what's marriage? I'm agreed. I'm going to help you fulfill your Dharma. I'm also agreeing I'm going to help you fulfill your desires. Whatever that desire be. Not just sexually. I want to be rich. Okay, let's work really hard and be rich. Or you need to work really hard and I don't get to be with you. Okay, work really hard and be rich. It's not just sexual desire. It's desires. I want to have children. Okay, we'll have children. I want to travel here, there, here and there, and there, and there, and here and there, and there, and there. Okay. We will travel. But first, we need to earn money. And we have to make sure Dharma is not neglected. So remember, I'm agreeing to help you fulfill your desires within Dharma. And so that's why I'm going to focus on just that one now. So what makes a good wife? She looks good. What does that mean? Whatever looks good to husband. What makes a good husband? He looks good. But that's not the point. Understanding everything. That the purpose of the relationship. The other thing that Anasuya emphasizes is incredible loyalty. You should not even look at another man. Why am I saying this? Because far too many people do more than look. It starts by looking. Starts by looking, right? Don't look. In today, so many women will tell me, it doesn't hurt to look, not like I'm doing anything. My usual answer is, looking is doing something. It's an act. Actions have consequences. It's a doing. You don't have to do another action for it to be an action. Looking is already an action. People will say you're too conservative. Like I said, I've seen a lot. Oh, questions? Yeah, if you're married, you'd usually speak about such things.
Oh, no. Simon and then
Bhagavan. We were talking about I was like, what's she asking? How do we be Bhagwan's blade of grass? Be willing to do anything. But usually in a situation, a certain outcome is needed, right? The children make a mess. Need someone to clean. It's not hard to work. What's needed? If it's a financial problem, then money is needed. It's actually not hard to work out solution to problems. What do we need to be? The solution. Even here in the ashram, so many times people will say, do you need any help? There's very few who will just see and do. They don't ask me if they'll see something has to be done and they'll just do it. I'm not saying you shouldn't ask to. If you can't, if you clearly there's nothing, I can't see anything, there's nothing, then you have to ask. But actually, if you see, there's always scope for improvement when you do. Or even just so many stories like in India, that Padman documentary. Understanding something that it's a need, you fulfill it. When Modi first became Prime Minister, he put lots of toilets on everything. But such a bizarre thing to do. And he advertised so much about putting toilets on everything. Increase hygiene. If you don't have toilets, people will have an excuse. If you look, you'll see what the needs are and you fulfill the needs. These are such like their needs, but needs a need. You fulfill. What do you have to be? The solution. To whichever Brahman you see. Not only in ashram, community, in your family. In your family there's problem? I'm sure. Which family doesn't have? Be solution. Then you being his lady first. I was sorry. You changed tracks quicker than I changed tracks. I asked. Same with the different meaning. I answered that also. Any other question? Nahi? Online people. Next week. No, it's normal. Next week, the class is not in the ashram. Where's the class? You'll do the prayers and then you'll say. Online people, there's normal class. Sarve bhavantu sukhinaha, sarve santu niraya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu ma kashchit Asatoma
Sakamaya, Tamsumaya,
Mrityurmanakamaya. Om Purnamada Purnamiram Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Hari Om.